Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the final day of Angelic Summit 2022. We are day 3, the triple goddess in effect, I'm sure, and all sorts of Trinity field energy going on this magical May 22nd, 22 portal. And who else better to launch us than the wonderful, fabulous, my soul sister, Alexandra Wenman. Hello, Alexandra.
Hi, gorgeous. Thank you for having me back.
I'm so glad. You've been consistent with all 3 of my summits. You've been this like lightning rod grounding agent with me for these events, and I just want to thank you for that. You were in my Magdalene Mastery last year, and of course the original Angelic Summit 2020. So you've been elevating Diamond Earth right with me since the beginning, and I just am grateful for you. But I want to share you with those who might be new to you. So let me get your bio up here.
Oh,
Give a little intro, give a little glow, as I like to call it, glow up your wings. Alexandra Wenman, other than being one of my angel besties, is an angelic channel, alchemist, and author. She's devoted to normalizing the conversation about spirituality and awakening. Alexandra brings the out there in here with her down-to-earth approach to channeling higher wisdom, accessing our Akashic and soul records, recognizing our true multidimensional nature, and honoring our divinity. A gifted angel communicator, spiritual alchemist, clear channel, healer, poet, and presenter, Alexandra has become a go-to expert and wise woman in a world that is waking up quicker than ever before. Previously editor of Prediction, the UK's longest-running holistic magazine, Alexandra is a trusted author, co-author, and contributor. She has appeared on ITV's This Morning, is the angel expert for Sky's Feel Good Factor TV, and features regularly in the mainstream press. Alexandra is the author of Archangel Fire Oracle, out now with Findhorn Press, and her new book, Archangel Alchemy Healing, The Celestial Science in the Vibration of the Universe, is available for pre-order, and it's coming out October of this year with Findhorn as well. Her collections of poetry, Poems of Precious Wisdom, and The Poetry of Light are available through Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And of course, you can find her at alexandrawenman.com, and I'll be putting the links in here shortly. Welcome again, beautiful one.
Thank you, honey.
Oh, what a week, what a month, right? Really, what a year, what a 2 years. I mean, there's so much happening. So let's just dive in. What is the latest and greatest that's been going on with you in terms of working with the angels and all this alchemy that you do? I know we're going to get into the Archangel Alchemy here in a bit with you, which I'm so needing this morning.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know about other teachers and healers and alchemists, but something I've been noticing in myself for the last, well, definitely at least for the last almost a year now, coming up to a year, is this drawing back. And I've had to pull right back from a lot of my work. I've had to almost close the doors to my business, almost fully close the doors to my business. It's not entirely closed, but I've had to really pare right back. And I keep getting this message of, this is all preparation. This is a reset. You're going to be, so many of us are going to be really stepping up to help others soon. And it's a little bit like pruning back the rose bush before it really births to life again. And there's no way I haven't been able to ignore this at all. And I've had requests for people wanting readings and healings and sessions. And I've had to kind of say, I'm kind of rejudging everything at the moment, but yeah. I am, and it is coming back. It will come back because one of the things I will be teaching is the Archangel Alchemy Healing System. That's on the cards, my World Angel program, and there's a load of stuff in the offering that's going to be launched very soon. But I just want to say, for people watching, if you have felt like you don't want to do a thing, that's probably why that we're going to be so needed. And there's so many people. I feel like what the angels keep telling me is that we're going to have a massive blanket awakening as a result of all of the pandemic. And one thing I discovered actually recently that I hadn't realized is that if we were following the original calendar and not the 12-month calendar that we're following now, if we were actually following the 13-month calendar, 2019 would have been 2012. So the Mayan calendar actually ended on 2012 according to the original calendar, which is why we have actually had this ending of the world. So it does feel like we're really elevating now into new earth. There's been so many activations. There's been a heck of a lot of light coming through. These eclipses, I mean, it's such a gateway.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding is the self-awareness is just higher and deeper than it's ever been and easier to move through. I don't know if people are finding that. To me, it feels very light, a lot less heavy than it has been previously. But I think that it might depend on where you're at and what you're working on. But for me, it's definitely, I think I've benefited from taking a step back and just letting myself process, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's like a pruning back, there's cocooning that's been happening. I call it going into the chrysalis, right? And we're just redesigning our wings, so to speak, redesigning our templates and figuring out, what's the next pivot or almost like we're at a choice point. I mentioned that as well at the beginning of the summit, where we really get to decide now, are we going to step fully into what we love, what brings us joy fearlessly, so that we trust that that is the path for us, right? We make a decision for that. And it doesn't mean we don't have the training wheels, right? Maybe other streams of income and things to support that, but that is our main like goal, is to really come in and do what we came here originally to do, whether we're guardians, whether we're peacekeepers, healers, what have you. I believe we're now at that place where it's like, are you ready to go? Are you ready to get on this new version of this planet? Because that is what's being called in. And I do think that there's been this, and even this retrograde we just went through, I think it's been the real squeeze for people, because coming out of that Scorpio eclipse, it's like you got to get into those real deep crevices that you've been packing down in the basement that just you don't want to look at sometimes, and you don't even know we're there because maybe you've been dealing with so much and you think, oh, I've done my shadow work, I've done everything, and it's like, oh, you missed a spot. So I agree with you. We're having to clear out, get rid of certain things to make room for more of this light that wants to lift us, right? It's almost like it's a magnetic field saying, and let's just lift you up. But you have to let go and be willing to let go of the old. And so, yeah, I understand that. And I think I'm in a similar space, as far as recalibrating some things. So I get you for sure.
There's like it's like I feel like we're entering a time of very, very refined truth, very refined truth. It's truth can sometimes come in like a battering ram, but
Mhm.
sometimes truth can be so subtle, like you can, for example, even the truth of ourselves, the things that we think we want or that we've been working towards, we might suddenly be coming to a realization or an acceptance of, oh, I'm not sure that is my true desire, or where did that desire come from? And realizing that our desire bodies and our emotional bodies have been very manipulated over the years, and there's a lot of distortion. So it's even turning around to face ourselves. And this is what the changing of the guard has been, that the angels have been talking about throughout this whole time period. It's we kind of turn around and look at ourselves, and yes, we're facing our own stuff, but now it's almost facing our own stuff with a loving tenderness, not so much going wading through the shadow and going, oh God, I've got to clear that out. Now it's like, okay, that's all right, but I can sit in that and I can be comfortable in that now. And it's refining and refining. And even our dealings with other people, I feel like there's just no space anymore. A lot of empaths will be finding this. There's no space for the people pleasing side of us. It's be loving, but be in your truth. And where we may have previously tolerated behaviors, we will not be able to tolerate certain behaviors anymore. And you're seeing it play out in the press, obviously, with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial and things like that. But you'll be seeing it on subtle levels, even within your own family, even within your own partnerships, in your own relationships. There's this real need to say no. And you can say no with love. And we're learning that, this is something that I've definitely worked through on a personal level and been working with clients on this for years and years and years. But it's about really honoring our gentleness, but stepping into that inner warrior and going, do you know what? I have to say no here because I'm so gentle that if I don't, I'm going to damage myself, and I don't want to do that. So it's about self-love really, really coming into play.
Yeah.
And really honoring that you are the angel. We're becoming angelic, we're evolving into these human angels, that we really are. That level of consciousness is us. We're all of it. And it's part of our divine birthright to be able to access that and play with that and bring heaven to earth in that way.
It so is, and I agree, all that glitters is not gold. And I think we're learning that, that there's been a lot of illusion trying to trick us, into believing, like, to chase the fame and the money and all these things. And now we're realizing that that's not necessarily healthy, right? To put all our focus to these things, and not necessary, because it's an old way of doing things to hustle. We talked about this earlier in the summit, and more how we manifest is going to be very different in terms of how we co-create with our source and what creates us angelically. And there is so much we can do with the angelic light and the intelligence and wisdom of that consciousness to really create the reality that we know we deserve on some level, right? We know, maybe consciously, but maybe the sub is still wondering. Maybe the child's going, I don't know. But these are all the things we're working out. But I do believe that yes, we're coming into greater angelic accountability, right? That we are architecting at all times. And as we learn that as humans, I believe people will think twice about what they're saying to each other and themselves. And we're just here as way showers to just kind of be the reminders, and the accountability partners, I believe, in many ways, more than what many spiritual teachers were in the past, which were gurufied, right? Like put up on these pedestals and let me give my power to you so I don't have to do the work, and you'll just fix me. And that's the codependency that isn't going to work anymore. So I want to, commend you, and many of our speakers are in the same vein, where we're here to teach everyone how to be their own angelic, sovereign being, versus having to give power away to different authorities that may or may not be serving them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this breaking down and melting of resistance as to who we really are and what we're really here to do as well. It's to really embody it, to really embody these energies, as you and I both know. It's not a picnic in the park. It really is quite hefty work, quite confronting work at times, and can be quite traumatic work at times sometimes as well. So it's not easy to work through it yourself, to embody it, but then to have to carry other people. And where we've, as healers, been expected to carry other people, that just can't happen anymore. And we won't be able to. We're not that anyone really who is a real healer does that deliberately, but as part of the empathy thing, unfortunately, we tend to love people very deeply and want to help. So it's finding the balance in all of that, isn't it? And just, making sure that you're not allowing yourself to be lent on. We can't lean on or be lent on. It is really about becoming our own tower. And that was really what Mary Magdalene was all about. So to embody these energies is like you have to simultaneously become like stone, but also become like water. So in any given moment, it's put me where you need me, be like water to allow the divine to work through you, but also become your own inner backstop and your own inner cheerleader and support. So where you become like stone is the times where you have to say no to others, or the times where you have to become crystal clear with your meaning and your words. And I love those two analogies. It's like the earth and the water coming together to bring through the spirit and the air and the wisdom of the mind.
Yeah, we had a really beautiful conversation about Magdalene in the last Magdalene Mastery Summit you were in as well, and I think that's another area that you and I align. Is understanding her connection to the angels, and really, I agree with you. It's being the hug angel, and having to say no and saying like back up, there's boundaries here. It's not easy, because you want to be like, yes, bring me, you're tired, you're weary, let me give you a hug, and have all that compassion and love for people. And I do. I mean, I do a lot of that, but there absolutely needs to be the self-preservation factors, I suppose, right? Is what you can kind of think of it as too. And because if we're empty, I've talked about this too. It's like if we're empty, we can't fill anyone, right? We have to have this flow and always make sure our cup is full too. First, frankly,
we're tired.
I've been
I
working
think
on
a
that
lot of
myself.
healers are very. Sorry, I was just saying, I think a lot of healers and alchemists are pretty tired. We've done a big hard slog, because a lot of the work that we do isn't just for us; it's for everybody. We're kind of leading the charge, busting apart these grids and these well, like you said, reweaving the scaffolding, redoing the architecture of the whole thing, and we're all part of that. And there is this need for, I just feel it like a softening. There's a real softening coming in, and there's definitely a filtering through. I can feel it really strongly tonight. I feel it almost like this beautiful, soft, pearlescent light that's coming through. It's a bit like your backdrop, Stephanie, and it's what is so needed right now, a gentle kind of like a healing mist that comes in that the angels are gifting us with. And, you know, at the moment, I mean, I worked on a fire oracle. I did the Archangel fire oracle. And at the
This one,
moment,
I have it right here.
that's the one. And I'm working on a water oracle at the moment, and I'm learning so much from the water and how to become more like the water and what water actually is. And I've, you know, been channeling through some really incredible and significant information about water as that conduit for the divine. And it really is incredible. It can amplify so much, and it can cleanse, and it can mirror, and it can, you know, help you to receive messages. It carries so many codes of light. And we really do need to be doing more as a planet to preserve, heal, and protect our water, because it's where, you know, it's where thought comes into form. It's about the primordial waters were where life was created. They've even found water in star systems. You know, it's the most phenomenal substance, and it is a living energy all of its own. And I think that it is quite synonymous with the angels, because the angels are like the bridge in consciousness.
Right.
But I see, you know, the cosmos is almost like the living waters of creation that permeate everything, and they exist in that plasma light. So that's the kind of light I feel filtering in at the moment for us.
Well, you know, it's interesting because when I first connected to the angels, it wasn't like I connected to them as beings. I connected to them as angelic light streams, and they always showed me it flowing like a water, like a living water and a living light. So I agree with you. It's just, you know, everyone's going to have their interpretation, of course, but for me, absolutely, I believe that water, and I'm always saying, okay, everybody, water break. You know, if I say water, it's like we're drinking water because it's required.
Yes. And
When we
in
have this fire
pint
going,
glasses.
right? When we have the fire and the frequency and the light coming in, it's just that balancing. We were joking before we started, everybody. I'm like coming in with my dark hair, my like blinding white, and she's like in her black and her blonde, and I'm like, we're the yin yang girls, you know, just harmonizing. But there's always that harmonizing going on. And I want to just check out the room and see who's here with us really quick in the VIP lounge. And hello, Mary. Hello, Lisa. Hi, Juliana. Hello. And again, I just want to remind everybody, and Jeanette, just make sure, you know, you're hi, Amy, asking questions. If you have questions of our conversation, we're here having this little angel, you know, powwow, but just make sure you have questions, please post them. And we'll be getting, of course, to some alchemy here with Alexandra in a little bit. So get those questions in early if you can. It says, Emma here says, very true regarding not tolerating toxic behavior. Here, I'll show this to you. I've learned to let go of people much more easily. Feels a bit lonely sometimes, but I have the angel head inhaler now. Aw, thanks, Emma. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, that's the thing. I was saying this earlier in the summit. It's like we're these hot air balloons, and we have to sometimes let off the sandbags to get up higher. Otherwise, we kind of just stay stagnant, and we're like, what are we doing? You know? And it's because those energy fields might not be for us, but we're in service. So we just keep giving, right? Like you said, and sometimes we have to let go. And those people, if they're people, might come around in a higher vibrational version once we go higher. The way the dimensions are working out, I don't know about you, but I'm finding that I'm like, this is not the same version of this person, right?
No,
It's like
no,
a
I'm
different
really
version.
feeling
Literally,
that.
I'm resonating in a field where now I'm dealing with different versions of the same people, but they're just higher vibrational. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you experienced
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. And also turning around and looking at people or meeting up with people who also feel like they're not the same person
Yeah.
anymore, but almost like they on the opposite side of the spectrum, like turning around and going, whoa, I used to be really close to that person. I feel like I can't reach some people anymore. There's just not that connection anymore.
Yeah.
And that can be really confronting. It can be confronting, especially if it's a family member or somebody that you've previously been close with. But like you said about the codependence, where we're realizing, whoa, that wasn't a healthy relationship, that all the codependence is being kind of weeded out, and we're having to recalibrate our relationships. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily lose those people, but there's a recalibration going on. And I know I was having this conversation with my sister because I went home to Australia for 2 months, and she sent me a message saying, I felt like there was a real disconnect between us when you were at home. And I just said, yeah, there was, because I'm pulling myself right out of the whole matrix and right out of all the those old dynamics. And I don't know who I am yet. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm going to land yet. And I'm finding myself again. It's like refinding out who I am and what makes me tick, and what I really love to do and what I really need to do, and where I want to live, and who I want to be with, and how I want to be treated, all those things. And I think everybody's going through this to a degree. So this is part of the leveling up, the paring back, the recalibrating. And yeah, I mean, also, you know, as well as being these spiritual beings, we have to honor that we're human beings and we don't have it all sorted. We're never going to know everything. And that's very humbling. I was writing something today about, you know, realizing that, yes, we're the divine housed in flesh. We're so incredibly ancient, but in many ways, we're so incredibly young, and we have so much more to learn. And that is the humbling thing. And I always find that, you know, however many years I do this work, if I ever start to think I'm up here with the knowledge, which I rarely ever do, you know, I always think there's something more to learn from everybody. But if I start to get too big for my boots, something will happen, and I realize I'm still only down here with what I really know. And I guess there's no time like the present just to be who you are, and to be unapologetic about it. And I think that as a humanity, definitely what a lot of us have learnt over the years, but certainly has been hyped up through the pandemic, is that need for compassion and kindness, and just letting people be who they are and how they are without going into any kind of judgment. And I think that the more we can move forward in that way, the easier that path is going to be.
Yeah, you know, gosh, there's so much we've been through. I mean, the alchemy we've been through, right, as human beings and angels and everything in the last 2 years is, I think, accelerated, right? Um, Everything, and I agree. We're definitely, this was interesting. I was seeing this originally when you started talking. Was I remember back in 2020 when we did the first summit, there was a sense of like all these vortex fields. Like imagine like all these tornadoes, just vortexes, right? And good luck trying to figure out what was going to happen, the timelines, any of that, and predict things because we didn't know what was happening, right? And now it's almost like we've chosen one of those and we're in it, and now we just are like Dorothy a little bit, like we haven't
Yeah.
landed anywhere yet, right? Especially in the idea of like, which Oz are we going to be on, right? Which Earth are we going to be on? And I'm hoping for some munchkins. That would be fun. I jokingly said yesterday, I feel like Glenda the Good Witch, like, come out, it's okay to come out, it's safe, you know? Because everyone's like, can I shine my light? I don't know if I can shine my light. And yeah, we can, but I absolutely agree with you that we haven't necessarily solidified. We're in this lavender zone, I say, because like if you go violet earth, it's kind of the violent, like it's just everything's turmoil and alchemy, right? And then the diamond earth is more like solidified crystalline, like it has certain standards of transparency, integrity, multidimensionality, all of it. So it's beyond 5D. And yet there's this lavender zone, right? And it was so fascinating because I was watching a video recently, the angels led me to, and this woman had like a hypnotherapy session, and she talked about this mystic kind of lavender light zone that was not the astral per se, but it was almost like this space between, right, where you're kind of contemplating things, and I find it like this bridge zone, right? So it confirmed what I already knew, which was cool. But what was really fascinating was something else, and I want to get your opinion on this, because you know there's a lot of controversies right now, a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of, well, this is happening or that's happening, and people fighting over what is the truth. And a friend of mine, you know, trying to give me the argument for flat earth, and me like, yeah, I like my earth round, you know, it's like, and it makes me feel feminine, right? But I understand there could be science behind that. But then what I told him, or what the angel said to him, was, what if it's both? And that's exactly what I saw in this video. Is like basically we're creating everything out of this void. We bring forward all out of it, you know, into the light. And those who want to believe in flat earth, go for it. Maybe not what I would choose, but you know, go for it if you want to, and it will show up for you. Whereas those who don't want to believe in that, the earth that is spherical will show up. And that's what I think people have a hard time realizing, is how much power in the co-creation of this planet we have as kind of agents or angels on the ground, and the creators, you know, the architects that are working with us and kind of filling in the gaps of whatever we might be missing. But does that resonate with you? I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Oh my God,
Because I know you're working with
completely.
the Elohim, and we're going to talk about them for a minute too, if you want to bring them up too.
I think if you're looking for something that's going to fit your perception, you're going to find evidence
Mhm.
of it wherever you look. Like, the things that we really long for, how often do they show up as signs in our reality? And we go, oh, it must be going to happen because I've seen a sign. And then the signs keep coming, but the thing doesn't happen. And then you get really frustrated. Um, I'm like you. I'm a Libra, so I very much hold the center. And I think, I always say this, actually, there's always two sides to every coin. And I mean, the way we're dressed, I mean, we're talking about the duality here, and there is always two sides to every coin, and there's always so many possibilities in every conundrum. I don't know. I mean, I'm a round earth girl, but I completely agree. I think that it's probably flat as well. We walk on the ground, it appears flat to us, so why not? There's evidence of it there. But I think with anything, you're always going to have people with differing perceptions. And when we can honor that, really your own truth can only be found within for you, and connecting to your own divine will and authority, and finding your own way forward. I mean, I'm a channel that I deliberately don't listen to what other channels are saying, and I haven't really been putting myself out there very much publicly lately, but I will be doing that. But I deliberately don't look at what other people are saying, and I sit and tune into myself and my highest soul self above the angels, even, because that's your primary guide. And I just find out my truth through that direct channel. And that's very much what I teach. I kind of teach processes that will help people connect to their own divine self. It's not me going, this is what's happening, this is the truth. This is my truth, but yours might be different, and you reserve the right to disagree. And also, we reserve the right to change our minds, because you might think that you know something, and the way that we are accelerated in our awareness and our consciousness right now, you can change your mind completely overnight. It might be in a second. You might be like, whoa, I really thought that was true, and I don't think that's true anymore. I mean, it's really confronting. And then you can change it again. You might change it back. And this is the beauty of learning and growing on this beautiful playground called Earth. So yeah, I'm completely with you. I see all sides to an argument. It's a hard place to be sometimes, because I used to, as a child and as a youngster, get people going, oh, you need to side with me or whatever. And I'm Aries rising, so I'm being called to be more decisive now, and not sit on the fence so much anymore. But it's lovely to be able to see from all angles. And
Yeah.
I do think, I think you're right, Stephanie.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I'm Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, and Pisces rising, so I have a lot of water if I go Western. But then I'm a Libra in Vedic, which I think is interesting. So I'm like you. I tend to be this diplomat. I tend to see a lot of different sides and try to make peace and all this. So I agree with you. It can be challenging when people want like a definitive, and I said, well, there is no absolute truth on certain things. I mean, there are certain absolute truths, I would say, like the laws of the universe, but what I would say is, even there, we're co-creating everything. So things are malleable, and that's where it can get really tricky for people. And I always say, go with frequency, go with what makes you feel good. If you're going through the mental only or the logic reason path, that's where the traps can get you stuck. And so it's really important to feel into things now, use the intuitive. And I also agree, for me, it's always been like whatever I get from Source Direct. And then sometimes my angels will have me check in on the collective consciousness to see what is everybody being programmed with. So I'll like peek in, but then I'll find these like Easter eggs, like, here, remember that channel you got back then? And here's the confirmation.
It's
So
what
it's
it
fun,
is.
but mostly I'm just there to harmonize and make sure whatever's being put out into the public specter, that we're not creating a living hell, right? We're trying to mitigate some of that.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, so Elohim, you've been working with these. We talked about this before we went live. Do you want to drop in on that a bit before you
I'd love to.
take us through a journey of some kind with them,
I was
maybe?
actually going to mention it, because one of the things about this coming out of the ceiling of how far our logical mind can get us, and bringing us more into our intuitive space, and our intuition, our gut feeling, our ability to tap into frequency and use those extrasensory perceptions. One of those tools is light language. It really does bring us up in frequency, and it takes the energy into a quantum sphere. A lot of the time when I'm doing psychic surgeries and things, if I bring sound and frequency through, I can see a whole lot clearer, and it really bumps it up. And it doesn't, it's not necessarily something that you can put into a logical box, because we're interpreting it through our feelings and our sensory perception. But I've been working with some incredible Elohim angels. They're actually interdimensional and intergalactic Elohim. And I first started working with them at the end of 2012. Well, it was around the time I channeled Precious Wisdom, so it would have been 2010, between 2010 and 2012. But they came through in a huge visitation when I was in Egypt, 21st of December 2012. And even though that calendar, we know that that calendar might not be the true calendar, the energy, the collective consciousness was geared around that date. And so there was an energy and a slipstream of this time that we're in now. And I was sitting up late, would have been about 4 o'clock in the morning, in my hotel in Luxor, just after having gone to visit the Great Pyramid. And I had an activation in the Great Pyramid. And I was lying in my bed and I thought, I can't sleep. Why can't I sleep? And I sat up in the bed and opened my eyes. And hovering at the foot of my bed in full visual was an orb, a big red orb about the size of a beach ball. And I could see it with my physical eyes open. And it was breathing and pulsing, and it was alive, and it was hovering there. And I was like, whoa. And I'd been feeling over the course of this whole trip when I was in Egypt, these angels coming in. I'd been channeling, I've been channeling galactics and angels for a very, very long time. But this was a really high frequency collective consciousness. And they started to talk to me. They all gave me individual names. Their names I now know to be a form of light language. There's a mixture of sort of Hebrew and Sanskrit sounds and different tones. And I had sort of like one every day, and I was working with them, and there ended up being 12 of them. And I would have read the message actually that they channeled through to me through this incredible orb that I saw. I mean, no matter what I did the following night, I couldn't recreate it. I couldn't get it to show itself again, but it was just profound. And since then, I've worked with a really beautiful one. She also wants to make her presence known, so I will talk about her as well. But their message is this: we come to you as the collective of the intergalactic and interdimensional Elohim. A bridge has now opened to make it possible for us to connect to humanity. Prior to this moment, the vibration of Earth was too dense, and people were not expanded enough in their consciousness to even begin to comprehend our existence. We are what you would call angels in the traditional sense, as we are aspects of the divine and archetypes of creation. But to simplify, we are essentially creator gods of neighboring dimensions and universes. We exist many worlds from you, and yet we walk beside you. We are here to assist in the great awakening of this planet. Infinite realms abound, and your human mind can comprehend but a tiny portion of what in reality is the infinite. This must be felt to be experienced. You think you connect to your consciousness through your brain, and that is only partly true. You connect to your consciousness through your heart and other areas of your energy field. Your heart is a portal. We are here in service, and we are at your service. Our names hold sacred phonetic keys, which when spoken dissolve the veils of illusion that humanity has kept itself imprisoned within for eons. It begins with being open to the possibility that you are much more than you think you are. It begins with curiosity. It begins with a willingness to go beyond logic and frolic in the playground of the seemingly absurd. What is nonsensical to you makes perfect sense to us. Language is the key that opens the door beyond this reality. The language of nonsense is, in fact, derived from the greater concept of the language of light. Words hold power, and sound holds light and crosses space and time in less than an instant. Whatever defies logic actually helps you to grow. If it doesn't make sense to the logical mind, that is a very good thing. But that is when you learn to drop into your heart and your emotional awareness. What feels right in your heart is most often the right way. Feel your way forward through your heart mind. Watch your words open doorways within your heart. Which doorways would you like to create? Doorways to bliss or doorways to pain? Hear our names, speak our names, or sing our names, and we shall hold the doors to the divine open to you. But be warned, only the pure of heart may enter. If you dabble in higher states of consciousness out of greed or the need to control others, great will be the fall. The karma now playing out on this planet is a result of the actions of those who have attempted to misuse the secret codes of power gifted to this realm in ancient times. They are few in number, yet the results of their greed will be catastrophic. And this was channeled in 2012, so we had no idea what was coming, for the world of blindness they have built up around them. Do not be afraid, for this is a great blessing and will lead to freedom for all. The time is now. Beyond the veil lies a truth beyond your current comprehension, but only one of you needs to unlock it for the rest to reap the rewards. This is the Holy Grail. This is the Ark of the Covenant. This is Jacob's ladder. This is Shambhala. This is Utopia. This is all there is. It is really so simple. Seek, go on seeking, and surely you shall find. It begins with you and is not separate from you. Worlds within worlds, universes within universes, realms within realms. How vast you are, and yet how tiny you humans keep yourselves. Awaken and expand into your vastness. Awaken into love. Our hearts go with you. Our song vibrates through you. The way is open. The time is now. It is written. And what I want to do is I want to tone their names so that you guys can feel their names, because they do hold keys. And then there's a very beautiful interdimensional Elohim, who is actually the granter of wishes. So I would love to introduce you to her and see what she has to say. But I'm just going to tone their names. But I would invite everyone just to close your eyes and tune into your heart and just let this resonate through you. And I know that as humans, we often have a need to know, what does it mean? I just want you to feel into each sound and think about, what does this mean to me? What impact is this having on my emotions, my feelings, my own frequency? And the first of these angels is actually an angel that is in the Archangel Fire deck. His name is Adnakiel, and he is the pioneer angel. So he really is about breaking new ground, steering your ship to a new horizon, being the first to do something, carving your own path. I'm just going to have some water. Baruch atah Zachariah Yeleliah Ishmachiah Orehia Jishvacha Amia Alileia Chiracha Shechemia Knahila. And just take some deep breaths in. And some of those names or parts of those names might sound familiar to you. They might feel familiar to you. And just feel yourself being bathed in a really soft, pearlescent diamond white mist. A soft light that's coming in through the brain, through the crown of the head and down through the pineal. And feel it traversing through the neural pathways of the brain. And just allow yourself to let go of all resistance to your divinity, resistance to love, resistance to the highest truth available to you at this time. And being willing to let go of any programming or old forms of protection that you don't need to hold on to anymore, or even old grievances that you feel it's time to release. And just feel yourself coming into a state of beautiful softening towards yourself and others, holding an energy of deep compassion and forgiveness, acknowledging and honoring that every single person on this planet is the same as you, is part of the divine, and therefore is part of you. Allowing yourself to bridge into your own connection through your intuition. And there's an invitation coming through to activate your own light language. And if you want to, you're welcome to just gently tone and allow any sounds to come through you and let them come through. And I'm just being asked to do some very gentle light language for you while we do this. And if you do want to, if you're at home watching this and you just want to tone or just let your utterances come through from your heart and your mouth, and whatever sound comes through, it might sound utterly ludicrous to you, but I just want you to allow it to come through without even needing to attach to a meaning. Just feel the frequencies that will come through. The Elohim coming through is Siriana, and she is the most beautiful guide. She visited me last year when I was going through a very challenging time. She actually lives in the dimensions created by the trailing tails of shooting stars and comets, and her kind are here to grant wishes, and we always wish upon a star, don't we? So that's why they live in those dimensions. She's absolutely extraordinarily beautiful, one of the most tall, pearlescent white, sparkling, shimmering beings, and she does look a bit like a galactic being with this very aerodynamic high head. And if you say her name 3 times and ask for your desire, she will visit you, and if it be for your highest good, your wish shall be granted. And I've actually been working a lot with the jasmine flower. It seems very connected to her, and the dandelion seed. So they're the wishes. So I'm just going to do a little bit of gentle light language, and I'm being told just to connect to the whispers of your own soul, to soften into your gentleness. Ya rukut ya nana kada pare kale katan di tek tek ashkoto bunya nani kada ya ya la koto te me kate ya poro ya koto te shina nana mani ya nana ya puta kada la koto te nana ka ay wara pare kare kada bole kata to da mani ya nana ya la koto te ba kashika kata te pare kale kata te nana mani ya nana ya rukut to da malaka shina da ya nana. Hoya shakata da namalakara to te pete kete shikata shikata. And she is saying, blessings be upon you, and may all your wishes be granted, so long as they be true and from the purest of intentions. You are honored, and you are so, so, so very, very loved. So very loved. And she's leaving us with a symbol of a shooting star. And so you might see this symbol as a piece of evidence in the coming days and weeks and months. You might even see a cartoon version of it, or someone might talk to you about shooting stars or comets. If you see any of those, know this is Siriana bestowing upon you your wish fulfillment. And just to remember to soften into yourself, really say yes to yourself is the message that she comes with. Really go into that honoring, and you'll be able to read. This book comes out in October, so you'll be able to read more about how to connect with these beings. But I just wanted to give a taster for how you could work with them too. And when you do your own light language, it is a form of self-healing and self-soothing. So let yourself tone, sing, let the sounds come through you. And I love to do it in a lovely salt bath. I find that's really cooking, really lovely. So
it's so interesting. I do mine that way, but also in the shower. It's so funny. Like I call it like chamber work, and I run light language and light streams, and I do all of it there too. So yeah, watering the conduit. Right? So that was so beautiful, and I spelled it probably not right, but I put it in there for everybody because some people need to see things for them to repeat it. But you're welcome to type it differently if there's a different spelling for Siriana. But what a interesting when I was feeling the experience of you calling in these beings, it was almost like these layers of light, just like these spheres of light coming in and just blanketing into my system. And I work with and they might be related, but I work with these diamond angels, I call them, out of the Andromedan sector, right? They're creator, they're aspects of creator as well, but they're not in this local galaxy. I guess they come in from
I think
outside.
they're probably part of the same team, to be
So
honest. Knowing you and I.
Yeah, I know. So it's like Alexandra and I are so funny because I was reading parts of her book, and I said, "Oh, good, I don't have to write my book now." She has all this stuff that's so like we're so similar to how we think as far as.
No, you still have to write the book, Stephanie. You're not getting off scot-free.
I know, right? I mean, well, what I'm saying is, I guess I'll have to come up with something a little different, but because really, you did such a beautiful job in all the research and the science and the backing it up and all these things that. I don't know that I would have patience for it, frankly. I mean, I'm so like angelic attention distortion, ADD a bit on that, but maybe we'll see what wants to come through.
I'm not usually that efficient or organized in that way either, and they really forced me to do it. I tell you what was the most grounding exercise ever was the bibliography and the endnotes. There was so much research. I had to put in every reference.
I know, girl. I'm telling you, I love you. I love you because you're getting that energy out there and that consciousness out there. And I've just had other like summits, and the thought of like doing what you're talking about sounds so like I don't even know.
I think I entered another dimension because I barely remember doing it. I must have had so much help because it's like anything. It's like taxes or filing and things. I'm Libra. We're chaos. I file things in piles and just remember where they are. So this is not my forte. So it's really interesting that the editor was like, you need to go through and put these in alphabetized order and we need links to everything. And I was like, oh my God. But I did it. And I think that they took me to another dimension and just downloaded it and it all happened.
I wish that for you. I hope that was the case because I can't, I mean, if you're anything like I am in that way, and I know how difficult that would have been because I'm so resistant on that side of things, but they keep saying when it's going to come through, it's just going to channel through. It'll be really easy. And that's what I'm waiting for. Until that happens, I just do other things.
Exactly. But you know what? I find that doing video and summit work is better because it's way more current. I mean, by the time you write and edit and sort out a book, it comes out a year after you've channeled it usually. And then you kind of think, oh God, that's out of date now. I've got to start the next one. But
Halo
it's always,
members that are
yeah,
here have I not said that to you? Just
I
put up a
know,
yes,
but
because that's what I tell them all the time. I said, when people ask me to write a book, and they'll email like, "Can I get this in book form?" I said, by the time I write it down, it's
yeah,
going to be obsolete. Even my program Diamond Heart Keys, that has evolved even from the time I did that, and there's still relevant information, but
yeah,
there's all this rapid, accelerated evolution that to
yeah.
try to keep up with it,
But it
it's
won't be out of date for the people that need it.
no, of
There
course,
are everyone's got to start somewhere
yeah,
too, and we've got a lot of people just going through these crazy awakenings in the midst of all this now, and there's going to be so many amazing tools for them to go to, and
yeah.
at wherever they're at, it will be there. But yeah, I
Which
mean, I think the live streaming your light is where it's at right now, because there's so much that comes through that needs to be there now, right?
yeah. It's honestly, I mean, and you're the same way when you're tuning into these different stations of light and they're streaming in, it's just like, okay, here we go, it's just happening. But what I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts in terms of like for the rest of 2022 and your feeling state, when you feel into the next few months, what are your thoughts as far as what would be the best thing for us to really focus on? I know obviously the summit we're really holding the light, right? Because all of this evolution has been so amazingly extraordinarily transformative. We'll say that. But what is some advice you can give us in terms of really moving through the rest of this year based on what you know?
But the words I'm being given are expect the miraculous,
Mm,
expect miracles. No matter what's happened before, we can help steer the ship in that direction by expecting it. Really imagine, call up the feelings of the most incredible joy and celebration you can muster, and let yourself imagine that that time for celebration is here and that miracles are flooding in. And the more of us that can do this, the more we open to receive it. We're going to have a lot more truths being unraveled on this planet, and it might look a little bit messy still on the ground, but you see, if we allow ourselves to go into fear and into the doom and gloom, we can perpetuate it. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is look at what's happening and go, yeah, but look at all this light coming in now, and I can feel it. I don't know about you guys, I feel so different now. I feel like
oh
something's
yeah.
lifted. We're in a renaissance. And when you look back through history, and even the astrologers are talking about this, you look back through history, when there's been wars or pandemics, there's always this like amazing renaissance at the end of it, with lots of people doing amazing art and creative stuff, and lots of parties and celebrations and baby booms and all kinds of things going on after these things. So the wheel does turn. And I see that Wheel of Fortune card, and us being right at the top of it. It's like we've gone full circle, and we're like, literally, get ready, expect miracles to land in your lap, ask for them. There's this kind of emotional alchemy that I like to do, where it's like, connect to the desire, connect to what you want, really feel the frustration of not having it, whether it's just, and work with feelings. So if you're not feeling content or fulfilled, think about, right, that's kind of frustrating. My desire is to feel content and fulfilled. And then connect to a clear decision that's going to change. We decide, we go, right, I'm deciding now that is going to change. I am going to feel different, and I choose that now. And then what we do is we call up our divine will, our own divine will and authority, and we command for it to happen. And then what you want to do is imagine yourself in the future with a feeling of relief, as though it's already happened. So you go from frustration, decision, and determination to that relief, as though it's already now. And it's simple manifestation. So many people know how to do that. And it's just working with your emotions, so that you don't box yourself in with kind of what you're asking for, the particulars of it, but be willing to expect the unexpected in really good, miraculous ways, is what I'm being told right now.
It's funny, years ago, there was a woman, a friend of my mother's, she's no longer here with us, but she said, what I do is I just imagine my giant walk-in closet, assuming the house will show up that fits that closet,
Yeah,
right? Sometimes we
yes.
want to go into the big mansions or whatever, but it's just just focus on what you can really get excited about,
Yeah.
and maybe make it intimate with you, like, and emotional. I agree. It's the emotion has to be in there. And I also say sometimes, again, like you're saying, it's already happened. It's done, right? It is done. And almost like in a past tense versus waiting for it to happen. You've already said, oh, it's already happened. And the universe like, oh, crap, we better get our, we better get everything together for that. So I really believe as we really get clear on understanding how co-creative we are, we're creating everything that we're experiencing fundamentally. People will start to go, wait a second, what am I saying to myself? Wait a second, maybe I should start to really get on this and be more militant and retrain the brain and the mind, but also get the heart on board. And so there's all sorts of ways, to work with this. And yeah, I agree. Um, I believe the truth that's rising, we get to decide, is that true for me?
Mm.
Because there's so many different levels of truth, right, that we're seeing, and some of them are illusionary and some of them are real. And it's like, which one works? Well, which one makes you feel good? Which one is the truth you prefer to see in your world? And I always tell people, no matter what's occurring, what do you want to see happening, right? And the pandemic is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of people who went through it and they didn't have certain lockdown experiences because for them that wasn't their reality,
Mm.
and then other people have gone through horrendous versions of that and everything in between. So I do believe that it's partially going to be what we make it at this point. And
Yeah.
I do believe that we can create miracles and we are all miracle, walking, talking miracle makers. So
I think that's
you ready?
be determined, right?
Yeah,
Be
know
determined.
that, own it.
Yeah. It's like, I will not accept less.
Right? We have a couple questions I want to get to before I let you go, if that's okay.
Okay.
Um, so Lisa asks, I struggle at times with trusting my inner knowing. Then it plays out as my intuition was guiding me. Can you speak to that a bit?
Trusting your inner knowing, yes. So I have this a lot too. It's like, oh, I think I know something, but maybe it's not kind of landing. My feeling around this is always go right into the deepest parts of your feeling awareness. And the way to do that, we often think that to connect with our intuition or to connect with spirit, we need to open up, but we also need to remember to be super grounded and super anchored. And I think really connect in with the body and let yourself. I do this process actually, which kind of helps me to disconnect from all the external gumph, let's call it, because there's so much flying around in the ethers, other people's thoughts and feelings, advertising, TV, da 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 da. Da. We've got so much going on. So instead of kind of opening up first, what I do is I tune into my heart or my solar plexus and I find a spark of light there. And this is the spark of the divine in within you, and I expand it out around me so it cleanses away anything that shouldn't be in my sphere of influence, and I form it into a huge big sphere of light around myself. So I'm opening it out into my auric field, cleansing outwards. But then I keep that there as a sphere of protection, seal it in gold. Then I draw my consciousness back in and I shrink it back down into where that spark of light originated, and I keep shrinking and I pull myself right back, shrink, 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 so that I become like an atom or a molecule or even smaller. And then I go right back into that spark of light. And then I blink it out so that I'm in the void and I'm literally in the blackness, in the space before creation. And in that space, you can set a really clear intention. And if it's to do with your intuition, right, my intention is to get the clearest information possible, really connect to my own divine truth. What is the highest truth for me? What is right in this situation? And if it's a yes or no question, you can ask the question, I need to know the answer to this, and I'm trusting it. Trust is a real key factor. To be able to trust yourself will help you get better information. And then what you do when you're in that space, set the intention in the void, and then you let the spark of light go off like a firework. You just literally explode that intention like a supernova right out into the cosmos, and then tune back in and see what feels right for you. I also do like a what I call internal dowsing. So when I'm really connected to the body consciousness and you've connected your higher self in with that process or any other process you do, just feel the energy in your body, and I say, right, body consciousness, higher self, please show me a clear yes. And you repeat the word yes in your mind and just see what happens in your emotional body, and I usually get like an excited welling up of energy, a feeling of yes, 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 yes. And then just see what happens when you say no. So come back to neutral, just wash through with white light, and then show me what it feels like to hear a no or to feel a no in the body. And I normally feel a contraction or a drawing in or a low, heavy energy. And the more you play with it, if you play with that for 21 days in a row, it'll really, really sharpen up your ability to hone yes and no answers through your body's acting like a pendulum. I mean, there's other kinesiology techniques you can learn. I've written about them in that book as well. I've got everything in that book. It's like a handbook.
I just have to say, and Lisa, you know this, you're literally describing parts of the halo method, which is so funny because I literally talk about the halo, right? And then using the body. So this
It's
is what I'm
using the
talking
body.
about.
Well,
This is how we know we're like soul sisters.
it's totally we're singing
But
from
I
the
love
same hymn
that.
sheet.
Yeah, what I love though about what you added in though is just like shrinking yourself down into the 0 point or the void, right? And then like blowing it out. And what's so funny is look at what the card was for the summit.
Oh my God.
One of the cards that we got for the planet, right?
Exactly
Is
it.
you're blowing it out.
That's
So for
exactly it.
transformation, yeah, it's like
That's
really
it.
expanding. So
Yeah.
Lisa added that in, girl. You know what to do.
And if
She's
you
been
ever need to
working with
fly
Halo
under
for a
the
while. So
radar too, and you want extra protection, make yourself super small like that too.
yeah.
Pull your energy out of everything, and you'll pull yourself back from where other people can reach you and things can get to you, and then you explode your safety intention out around the planet.
Yeah,
Whatever you need to create,
that's
it really
beautiful.
is you being the creator God.
Diana asked a question, and this has to do with what you were speaking of earlier. She says, thanks so much for mentioning Luxor, Egypt. Can you maybe share about your visit to the Dendera
Oh
temple?
my God, yes, I can. Oh my goodness. So I had an extraordinary experience at Dendera, and I was having visions of Dendera for years before I went, and past life memories of being in there. And when I channeled Precious Wisdom, my other healing system, I was shown I was working as a priestess in that temple. And as we arrived, we had a tour bus full of like 24 people. I was with our friend Stuart Pearce on his retreat, and as I started walking up to the temple, everyone was kind of walking up quite slowly, but I got go into the temple, go quickly, go straight to the Holy of Holies, and do not wait for everybody else. And I walked in, and there was a room over to the left, and I was like, oh my God, that was my room. I know that room so well. And I just felt like I was coming home. And there were so many women in the group, and as we walked up towards the temple, all our bodies swelled as though we were pregnant. I've never seen my boobs so big in all my life, and it was literally like we were pregnant. But I walked straight to the Holy of Holies, and there was a man standing there, one of the temple guards in the turban and the jalaba kind of dress thing. And I looked at him, and we just knew each other, and it was complete silence. He took my hand, he opened a trapdoor in the floor, and then he took me down into this like secret place underneath the Holy of Holies, and he showed me all these beautiful carvings of Hathor, and I was really connecting. I was doing a lot of channeling. So this was 2012, and he showed me the evidence of the free electricity that the free electricity was around at that time. But it was the most, I mean, my human brain was going, is this safe? I'm being led down this
I know, right?
by a strange man, an Egyptian strange man that I don't know, and I don't know if this is safe, but I could feel something else was going on, and I just trusted it, and it felt like he was a brother. And then at the end, he just held my face in his hands and kissed both my cheeks. And it was so reverent, and it was so loving and done in so much honoring. And he said something like, thank you, mother. It was like he was honoring the goddess in me. And then I left. He brought me back up out the stairs. And he also took my friend Lorraine down there afterwards, completely separately at the end of the trip. And then we got back on the bus and went, wasn't that amazing? Did you guys get to go down into and nobody else had been taken in there. It was like he'd been waiting for us. And we led our own retreat in 2018, April 2018, and we went back there. And there was our man again, and he was waiting for us, and he took us both down there together this time. And it was like this memory, this like, but definitely, I mean, it's extraordinary. It's such a place of, I mean, Hathor is so present. And so I connect to Hathor as just one of the collective of the Hathors, and they're incredible, multi beings from the multiverse. They come from very, very far away, and but she's extraordinary. Definitely a place of beauty and fertility of music and miracles as well as we know.
You know, Friday night we had a musical opening, and Tatiana Bellavita did some light languaging, and she mentioned it's from the Hathor energetics. So it would be interesting to see what your
It's
thoughts are
so
on that.
connected, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this has been extraordinary. I want to say thank you for your generosity of light and love and all that you're doing, and staying with us a little longer today. I want to congratulate you on your new book, the Archangel Alchemy Healing, and just everybody make sure you can pre-order it, right? Can't they
You
get it on
can
Amazon?
pre-order it now. Yeah, it's up on Amazon, and Inner
Yeah.
Traditions is the publisher. So it's innertraditions.com.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, I am so excited for you and all that you're bringing in, and I know you and I will collaborate again, and it's just such a
100%.
pleasure to always have these conversations, and just so much fun to connect our light and co-weave and light people up. So everyone, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to be part of these kind of conversations where you get to ask questions of our speakers, make sure you come into the summit, into the sanctuary with us. You get a social lounge between sessions as well. You can find the last minute entry passes available at angelicsummit2022.com toward the top of the page. Just look for that button. And everyone's saying thanks and love you and always love you. And so
Thank
definitely check out the
you.
chat room and feel free to
Oh,
chat.
thanks,
And
Lisa.
feel free to stay in the social lounge and meet some angels if you have time. But thank
I
you,
can
love.
hang
And
out.
I will see you. I will see you soon again. And everybody watching on YouTube, again, we'll be back for our next session with Maya McLean. That is at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, so check your local times. And I'm just going to put one more time the link on YouTube for everyone in case you want to get a pass, because I know sometimes there's those people who just find us, like, there's passes, I can be in a lounge. I had no idea. So anyway, I love you all. Thank you for being here for Angelic Summit 2022, Day 3. We will be back in just a bit, and I will see you in the lounge. And I'll see you, Alexandra, very soon. Much
Thank
love.
you, angels. Thank you, Steph. Love you.
You're so welcome.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you.